If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight. New content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we quitting. Yoshi and Dr. Winner keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If they know got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learning, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters, give respect to the elder, Clyde winters, I feel like somebody out there living for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live on the line. We have to live on the line. I have not done wrong. I have not wrong. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck kill. I am not transgressed the law. I have not denied it. Except when I'm talking about Uncle John. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? How you doing, Doorbell? Everybody else out there, you know this is a wonderful day. Why is it wonderful? Well, with my old ass, it's wonderful because I'm still here. As a result, I'm saying that this in a sense is the day that we have to really accept the fact and celebrate that the sun came up today, that it's kind of warm, and that we can look at each other in the eye and say, how to do, and maybe even say, I love you. That's a very interesting word, and it's often said a little bit too much, and often it doesn't really have any real meaning. Because a lot of times I think people just say that word out of habit. I love you, because I mean, do they really love you? Do they really love themselves? Do they really even know what love is? And this is something that we have to really always keep in mind, because I it's very hard, because see, sometimes you can have a love that's unrequited, a love in a sense where you don't love back, and that's the love sometimes that we can have for our people. Yes, yes, foundational Black Americans. It's very hard for us to love each other and to show our love, because we always feel that somebody's trying to jack us up, or somebody's trying to trick us, or somebody's trying to lead us down the garden path, that somehow there's a lie. And as a result, we often, in a sense, fail to really see that we are loved. Yes, 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 we are loved. But I was lucky. And I was lucky because I had two things in my favor. Number one, I always believed in God and know that God existed. Number two, my wife, my beautiful baby doll, what she did is that she gave me children. And I know that a lot of you probably say, what the hell is that? Well, having children is very important, because see, when you have children, it gives you two things. Number one, when they're little, it gives you a reason. It gives you a reason to fight, to make sure that everything is right for your children and your woman or your man or whatever. And when you get older, they give you comfort, because often you have somebody that you can talk to, or somebody might check up on you. And that's interesting. And Doorbell said we all suffer a minor form of schizoid. I don't know, maybe. A lot of us have that, because they even talk about the fact is that a lot of us carry a lot of trauma from slavery. Yeah, I don't really think so. I don't really think we carry a lot of trauma from slavery. The reason I say that is because, see, if we were suffering from trauma as a result of our slave experience, we couldn't accomplish all the things that we accomplish every day in this life. If we were suffering from traumatic slave syndrome, then we wouldn't be able, in a sense, to have made the great accomplishments that we've done. Look at all the inventions we've made. Look at how world culture is the culture of foundational Black Americans. The music, the art, the language. A lot of it, world culture is based upon us, because see, we have a culture that's internationally known. Was the fact, in a sense, is that many of the people that came over here, especially the Europeans and the Latinos and all that, they came from foreign cultures, and because they came from foreign cultures, because of they also brought with them their flags. Like, just a few weeks ago, you were seeing people with Mexican Independence Day. What the hell is Mexican Independence Day? They're riding around their flags, and then you see other people that are talking about their European ancestry or whatever. And see, but foundational Black Americans, this is our country. This is our country, and we don't be looking for any other land. We don't ever try to claim that we came from Africa. How you doing, Anthrocosm? We don't be saying, in a sense, that we came from some other land, and that we have to go back. No, we've always been on this land. You see, remember, in America, they stopped the international slave trade. I think it was 1808. We formed the country by the late 1700s. By 1808, we stopped importing people from Africa. The only place in North America that there was some continued importation of slaves would have been down in Louisiana and some of the French areas. But by 1808, they had stopped importing slaves. So that's why all of us basically have an ancestry that goes back to the Aboriginal Blacks who lived here, the Black Europeans who came here and sent over here as chattel slaves between 1630 and 1669, and the sub-Saharan Africans who were made chattel slaves after 1669 on up to especially after the 1700s. So again, in a sense, we have a unique heritage, and because of this unique heritage, that's what gives us, in a sense, to be able to accomplish a lot of things. Dorvell, he says that we have been socialized in a pressure pot. Kinda. I wish you could explain that a little bit more, but it has been a lot of pressure. And the pressure is coming from the fact is that we always have to, in a sense, find a way to make it in a land where you know that you're number one, because of critical race theory. We know, number one, that we're hated, that Caucasians want to kill you. Number three, Caucasians created a system of racism in which they booby trapped, in a sense, the race, so that they're going to always win, or they want to make it so they always win. But even though there's critical race theory exists, even though they hate you, even though they want to kill you, even though they set a race, yes, they set a race in which they're going to win, we still overcome that. We still, in a sense, sometimes, in a sense, we still become successful. We still fight hard, you know. And because of the fact that we fight hard, because of the fact, in the sense, that we don't give up, this has allowed us to become the leaders of the world. And we become the leaders of the world because the leaders of the world believe that we have Mojara. And what is Mojara? Mojara is made up of two words, mojo and aura. In other words, in a sense, they feel that we have a certain power to get our mojo working. And because of that mojo, we have an aura of, in a sense, not expectation, but an aura of a fighting spirit. We project a fighting spirit, you know, and this, in a sense, allows us to be able to do the things we do, you know, and this is what is very important, you know, and Dorvell says, meaning how we act in this society has been an act of brainwashing and conditioning. Nah, not really. They haven't brainwashed us. No, they haven't brainwashed us. Yes, a lot of us suffer from CAIDS, culturally acquired immune identity deficiency syndrome. And what CAIDS is that we lose our Black identity and we want to believe we're white. And when we want to believe we're white, we lose, in a sense, our ability to really be successful. And the reason that we lose our ability to be successful whenever we want to, in a sense, be white, think we're white, is because of the fact, in a sense, that white people, in a sense, see you as being superior to them. If they didn't see foundational Black Americans as being superior to them, they would not have established a system of racism in which we're engaged in a race in which they've set so that they can win, win without any effort. So then, therefore, in a sense, if you ever want to be white, you're gonna lose, in a sense. But so you had to remember that. We also asked that I study Shetad Netta and gives me the power to deal with the Caucasoid Neanderthals. Stop all that shit about the Neanderthals. Neanderthals were Black people. And these Neanderthals, they were Black people. No, we suffer from an infectious disease, as Dorvell said, and that infectious disease is, in a sense, CAIDS. It's not Neanderthals, because see, the thing is, this is that I've written a book that can break down to you, who and when the white man came. Yes. I've written a book that tells you when white people came on the scene and how white lost their humanity.
Create a movie from the book. Just don't forget to give thanks to the author of the book.
Um, this brother says, when did they come on the scene? They came on the scene basically after 1000 BC, after the eruption of the volcano Santorino. It was a volcanic eruption in Mediterranean. It's called the Santorino volcanic eruption. And what this did, it opened up many of the caves in Europe. And once these caves was opened, many of the Caucasians who had been locked inside of these caves for over 10,000 years began to emerge from these caves. And that's when we begin to see the Caucasian people. Because, see, the Caucasian people are a result of, in a sense, of coming out of that thing. This whole idea, pink skin appeared in the Bronze Age coral reef. No. That research is bullshit. All the research shows that the people during the Bronze Age were, in a sense, melanated people. And these melanated people did not have pink skin. Pink skin came about, in a sense, once those caves opened up. Once those caves opened up, then therefore, in a sense, white people came out of those caves. And as they came out of the caves, they continued to keep there, in a sense, there. They had lost their pigmentation. Because they had lost their pigmentation, they were very angry. And that's one of the reasons why they hate us so much. They hate us so much because the fact is that we continue to carry the pigmentation, and they have a genetic memory. Yes. They have a genetic memory. And this genetic memory shows that 10,000 years ago, they were not Caucasians. They were black people. Get my book, Neanderthals and the Origin of the White Race. And in that book, it will, in a sense, explain to you on the scene. And in fact, if you buy that book, you're going to see how the earliest Europeans looked when they came out of caves. They did look like they look today. No, they did not. You have to try to buy that book. Get that book so you can learn about how they look. You can order that book from Amazon.com. But again, tonight we're going to talk again about some of the various black people that lived in Mexico. It's very important to remember that black people have been in the Americas at least for 54,000 years. These black people that came to the Americas, they had to have come from Africa. The reason they had to have come from Africa is because the Ice Age prevented people from migrating from Asia into the Americas. And because of the Ice Age, you couldn't really, back in the day, many people, when they sailed ships, they would sail along the coast. There was no way you could sail along the coast of Asia. And once you went into the area of the Ice Age, you would have froze to death. So the only people that could have come here, the first people that came here, in a sense, they came here, and they came here in a sense, and they began to they died. And so then the only black people who could come here came from Africa. They came as early as 50,000 BC and earlier than that. I'll do a presentation on that. But today we're talking about today we're going to talk about the Olmec Indians who were blacks, and especially in a sense, how these people got their writing. And so this is what we're going to mainly discuss today, because it's a very, very interesting. It's very interesting when you discuss this whole thing. You see, again, You can go to my Patreon after I do my presentation. You're going to be able to the slides that I present today, like all of my presentations, you're going to be able to find them on my Patreon site. So please join my Patreon. My patrons are very important to me because my patrons, they give me ideas about presentations that I want to do. My patrons, they also, in a sense, allow me to have the monies to buy new books when I need them to produce various research. And they also allow me to have the monies to be able to see articles that are behind a paywall. Yes, yes. Sadly, much of the latest research is often behind a paywall. And because it's behind a paywall, that means in a sense that you had to pay monies to get these articles. And by the support of my Patreon, my patrons and my Patreon, I'm able to do that. So please join my Patreon. Please support me. Please help me to continue to do this work. You can find me on Twitter at ClydeWinners8. And you can find me at TikTok.com at ClydeWinners3. And my TikTok, I'm not too much on TikTok. Yoshimod the genius, he's put a lot of shorts on TikTok that relate to my research, relate to some of the things that I'm doing. And I appreciate the fact that Yoshimod the genius has done this. So you can also see videos about some of my research, some of my interests on TikTok. So go to TikTok, look under Clyde Winners, and you can see some of those videos. You're on my YouTube channel right now, which is Clyde Winners. And here I have over 400 videos on every aspect of Black history. Don't just come here on Thursdays. No, don't just come here on Thursdays and listen to me do my lives. I also have 450 videos here. And these 450 videos, they touch on every aspect of Black history. So don't just come here for my lives. Come here and check out my other work. You're going to enjoy it. It'll make you very happy. And any of my books that I discuss, you can order my books at Amazon.com. FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Black Europeans and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. Yes, yes, yes. We built the United States. It's our ancestors. What is FBA? Yes, 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 yes. That is what FBA is all about. FBA is a lineage. Just like the Black people, in a sense, who lived here. Yes. Some of our ancestors, in a sense, over here, the main, over 22 to 25% of foundational Black Americans carry the R1 haplogroup. That's the Y chromosome R1 haplogroup. What's interesting is that the earliest ancestors, our earliest ancestors go back 10,000 years ago. Yes, 10,000 years ago. These people who lived 10,000 years ago, many of them carried the R1 haplogroup. And that's exciting to understand that we have that type of continuity. Yes, we have continuity that pushed us back, way back in time, way back. Our people have been very, 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 creative. They've been geniuses in terms of the artifacts that they've left us. And as I tell you every Thursday, is that we've had writing for over 10,000 years, if not longer. So much of our history, much of the things that we did to make us successful, they left us records. Not only have they left us written records, they've left us beautiful monuments. And we had to look at these monuments. And we had to remember that it was Black people like you, Black people like me, Black people like us that built these beautiful civilizations. Back in 1979, I deciphered the Olmec script. Please, get around the drinks and, hey, let out a cheer. But I in a sense, early deciphered some of the Mexican celts. And for example, on this particular cell I translated, and it's the Olmec. The Olmec, many of them spoke a Mandi language. And because they spoke a Mandi language, the religion, the writing, everything is based upon Mandingo. Here's one of their inscriptions that I deciphered back in 1979. Let me read it to you. Without breath, void, consumed lies the holy pay. Below the family habitation, lay low the celebrity, the lord in the hemispheric tomb. The great Carpe in the back of the big hemispheric tomb possesses this place for posterity. Thine inheritance is fixed in this ground. Here the pure celebrity lays low. Lay low the celebrity. Yes, yes, yes. What they did in a sense is that these black elites that lived in Mexico, they often in a sense buried their dead, and over their dead they would build a mound, an earthen mound. Later these earthen mounds turned to pyramids, you see, stone pyramids. But these earthen mounds and pyramids was to protect the remains of elites, and it was also a place that you could go and you could get blessings. Because see, back in the day, many people felt that if you visit the site of elites who were good people, kind people, righteous people, then you too could, in a sense, obtain some of their righteousness. If you want to find out more about the Olmecs and their great civilization, you can get my books. Get my book, Atlantis in Mexico. In Atlanta, about the Olmec culture. I talk about many of their cities in Mexico and some of the artwork, the calendar, and other things that they've done. In African empires in ancient America, I review many of the African empires. I repeat, I'm not talking about simple contributions or a few black people in this part of the Americas or that part of the Americas. In my book, African Empires in Ancient America, I discuss the empires that these black people established. Yes, empires in a sense that extended, hundreds of miles, thousands of kilometers, because these people were engaged in trade and they were engaged in developing a great civilization. So get my book, African Empires in Ancient America. In my book, Essays in Olmec and Mayan Studies, in this book, I try to, I've deciphered some specific, I repeat, in Essays in Olmec and Maya Studies, I've deciphered specific Olmec inscriptions and Mayan inscriptions. And if you check this book out, it can show you how you too can, in a sense, look at these inscriptions and know what our ancestors who lived down in Mexico is trying to tell us. In my book, Olmec Language and Literature, and again in this book, I explain what the Olmec language was. I tell you how you can read the Olmec text, how you can decipher their mask, decipher their monuments that they left us. And this is very important. One day, in a sense, I'm going to really discuss how to really read the Mayan inscriptions. They claim that you can't read the Mayan inscriptions, but I found in a sense a bilingual Mayan, Olmec text, and this bilingual Mayan Olmec text allows you to be able to read the Mayan language. One day I'll discuss that in more detail. But right now, get these books. You can order them from Amazon.com. Atlantis in Mexico, African Empires in Ancient America, Essays in Olmec and Mayan Studies, Olmec Language and Literature. All of these books will break down various aspects of the Olmec civilization, and you can order them today. You can order them after you look at this video. From where? Amazon.com. The Olmec people introduced writing to the New World. Many Mesoamericans accept the possibility that the Olmecs were the first to, 1, invent a complex system of chronology, 2, a method of calculating time, and 3, a hieroglyphic script, which was later adopted by the Azapan and Mayan civilizations. As a result, the Olmec people have numerous inscriptions on monuments, celts, and portable artifacts that give us keen insight into the Olmec culture, religion, and politics. When you look at this, illustration, you can see at the top on the left-hand side, you can see some of the inscriptions that the ancient Mandi people left in West Africa, the Sahara. And you can see in a sense that these same signs are found on many, yes, not one, not two, but many ancient artifacts that the Olmecs left us have the same inscriptions. And this is showing you the examples of how these inscriptions found on artifacts in ancient America go all the way back to Africa. Yes, all the way back to Africa. The Olmec did not speak Mishizak. Some researchers assume that since Mishizak is spoken in the Olmec heartland today, this language was spoken by the ancient inhabitants of Olman, the Olmecs in ancient times. But the location of Mishizak, Zakian, speakers in the region today does not mean it was spoken in the region in the past. Today it is spoken in the Tuxtla Mountains. The Otamanguian family includes Zapotec, Mixtec, and Otomi, to name a few. The hypothesis that the Olmec spoken Adamanguian language is not supported by the contemporary spatial distribution of the languages spoken in the Tabasco, Veracruz area. Thomas Lee and R.J. Scherer and D.C. Groove editors, Regional Perspective on the Olmecs, noted that, and I quote, closely mixed Zak, and Papaluca languages are spoken in numerous villages in a mixed manner, having little or no apparent semblance of linguistic or spatial unity. The general assumption made by the few investigators who have considered the situation is that the modern linguistic pattern is a result of the disruption of an old, homogeneous language group by more powerful neighbors or invaders. Yes. So in other words, in a sense, we see these languages that are spoken in the area today, but we know that they had to have been invaded and that there was an original language spoken here. Yes, and that original language, the Olmec language. And the Olmec language was a Mandi or Mandingo language, like the languages spoken in many parts of West Africa, where you find the Mandi-speaking people. If this linguistic evidence is correct, many of the language in the Otomanguian family are spoken by people who may have only recently settled in the Olmec heartland and may not reflect the people that invented the culture we call Olmecs today. Moreover, if the Olmec had spoken a Mishizaquin language and gave the Maya writing, they should have influenced the Mayan language. This is not the case. Brown has suggested that the Mayan term for writing, shib, diffused from the Cholan and Yucatecan Maya to the other Mayan speakers. This term is not derived from Mishzak. If the Maya had got writing from the Mishzak, the term for writing would probably be found in the Mish language. The research indicates that no word for writing exists in the Mishzak language family. The Mish of Oshaka, Religion, Ritual, and Healing by Frank J. Lipp, the author noted that, and I quote, the elders say that there was a people who possessed considerable knowledge and science, and that they could make children sick by simply looking at them. At one time, they came from a part of Veracruz and took up residence here. However, they spoke a different language. Clearly, they were also Mish, but their language was very modified, and we did not understand the words they spoke. Yes. This is further evidence that before the speakers came into Oaxaca, that there was already a people there and that their language was different from them. And the reason their language was different from the Mish language is because of the fact that the Olmec people were speaking a Mandingo language. Yes, a Mandi language. Order my books on the Olmec language, and you can find out more about this group. This group was part of the Mandi-speaking Olmec. Finally, the Mish hypothesis is not supported by the evidence for the origin of the Mexican term for writing. The Mexican term for writing is not related to Zak. Let's look here. Here we can see a comparison of the Mayan terms and Mandi terms. Here we can see, in a sense, for example, in the Malinke language, we have Sabe. In the Sereri language, we have Safe. If we go to Yucatec, we find Siebe. In Shorte, we find Sabiba. In Mem, we find Sabat. You see? In Lankadon Maya, we find Seab. So you can see that Malinki Seabe corresponds to the Mayan Seabe. You can see in a sense that the Mayan and Mayan terms of writing are the same. This allows us to say, aha, that the Mayan probably spoke a Mandi language. Brown has suggested the Mayan term Shab, diffused from the shoulder and Yucatec Maya to the other Mayan speakers. The term is now derived from Meshzak. If the Maya had got writing from the Meshzak, the term for writing would be found in the Meshzak language, which is not found. The fact that there is no evidence that the Zak were in the ancient Olmec land 3,200 years ago. 2, there is no Zak substrate language in Mayan. 3, you cannot read the Epi-Olmec inscriptions using the Justinson and Kaufman method. And 4, there is no such thing as pre-Proto-Zak. Falsifies Justinson and Kaufman's hypothesis that the Olmec spoke the Zak language. Brown has suggested the Mayan term Se'ebe diffused from the Sholan and Yucatec Maya to the other languages. You know, there are a number of Malinki Bambara loans in Mish. The Mish discussed in this section is Arjakin and include words from the Itam, Maztec, Chanantic, Mishtek, and Chatino. Let's make a comparison to Mishi and Bambara. Mishi is the, as I said, that's a Mayan language, and Bambara is a language of the Maninka. For example, in the Mishi language, you have Kokani, chief snake. In Bambara, we have Kunsa, which means snake. In Mishi, we have Koku of the night. And in Bambara, we have Kusu, head night. In Misha, we have Kodong, mare. In Bambara, we have Kundugu, Kodong, mare, Kundugu, head or chief. So we can see in a sense how many of the Mishi words are really words in the sense that were nativized that come from the Bambara language or the Mandinka Bambara language. The Mishi term for calendar priest is Kushi. It probably is also a long word from Olmec. The Olmec term for time is Shinyi, and san means year, sky. This suggests that the Mishi term Kushi, calendar priest or head priest, comes from the combination of the Olmec word ko, head, and Shinyi, time. So ko Shinyi means head time or head timekeeper. The Mishi nativization of ko Shinyi, Kushi, would not be too surprising since the Mishi, if they were originally hunter-gatherers, would have had no need for a person to record the seasons, a calendar priest, until they began the domestication of the crops, introduced to Oaxaca by the Olmec people when they settled the region to exploit the rich mineral deposits found in this part of Mexico. That picture is, it's just a representation of probably how the ancient Black Olmec people and studied the stars, studied the heavens, so they could write various books on astronomy, cosmology, and would know in a sense, how to build their pyramids and also how to position things. The Olmecs came from Africa. There's no evidence that the Olmec existed in Mexico before 1200 to 1100 BC. No, there's no evidence. We don't see, like usually in a sense, archaeologists, what they do is that they excavate these sites, and as they excavate these sites, it shows a progression. These sites usually show a progression in terms of how a civilization may have occurred, but we don't find any earlier examples of the Olmec civilization. We just see that, 1200 to 100 BC, these people appear in the Gulf of Mexico, and they begin the Olmec civilization. This shows The archaeological evidence does not show, in a sense, continuity from some earlier Mexican culture. What it shows, in a sense, is that there was an immediate settlement, that there was a migration of a new people into the Gulf region, and this new people came in boats, and they helped establish the Olmec civilization. The archaeological evidence suggests that the Olmec, I quote, miraculously appear on American soil. Some researchers claim that I am wrongly ruling out an indigenous revolution for the origin of the Olmec civilization. This is their opinion. The archaeological evidence, not I, suggests that the founders of the Olmec civilization were not indigenous people. In the Olmec world, and you cannot check this out, in the Olmec world, Ritual and Rulership, 1995, edited by Carolyn Tate, on page 65, we find the following statement. I quote, Olmec culture, as far as we know, seems to have no antecedents. No material models remain for its monumental constructions and sculptures, and the ritual acts captured in small objects. Yes, yes, yes. What did they say? There's no antecedents. That means that there's nothing that shows any earlier origin. Olmec culture just appeared. MCO, writing in Regional Perspective on the Olmecs in 1989, observed that, and I quote, on the contrary, the evidence, although negative, is that the Olmec style of art and Olmec engineering ability suddenly appeared full-fledged from about 1200 BC. Again, this is another researcher who had to, in a sense, that the evidence, no matter what people may say today, the evidence did not show an evolution of the Olmec people from some earlier culture. Mary E. Ply, writing in Olmec Archaeology in Mesoamerica, makes it clear that after discussion of the pre-Olmec civilization of the Mokaya tradition, that these cultures contributed nothing, I repeat, nothing, to the rise of the Olmec culture. Ply wrote, and I quote, the Mokaya appear to have gradually come under Olmec influence during Shurla times and to have adopted Olmec ways. We use the term Olmecization to describe the processes whereby independent groups tried to become Olmecs or to become like the Olmecs. Yes, yes, yes. If the Mokaya was the earliest tradition culture in Mexico, and yet it seems as though the Mokaya civilization was influenced by the Olmec, is even more evidence. Yes, it's even more evidence that the Olmec people were not indigenous. No, they were not indigenous to Mexico. As I said earlier, there were already Black people in Mexico when the Olmec came. But the Olmec, when they did come, they introduced an entirely new civilization. And they introduced this new civilization, and they spoke the so-called Mandi languages. Richard A. Dill, the Olmecs, America's First Civilization, wrote, and I quote, the identity of these first Olmecs remains a mystery. Some scholars believe they were Mokaya migrants from the Pacific coast of Chiapas, who brought improved maize stains and incipient social stratification with them. Others propose that Olmec culture evolved among the local indigenous populations without significant external stimulus. I prefer the latter position, but freely admit, and listen to this, I prefer the latter position, but freely admit that we lack sufficient information on the period before 1500 BC to resolve the issue. Yes, yes, yes. There's no evidence that shows that the Olmec were already living in Mexico. There's no evidence that these Olmecs, in a sense, had a prior culture, and that this original culture that these Olmecs had evolved in what we call Olmec civilization, Olmec art, Olmec culture. So this shows, in a sense, that they came from outside. Yes, they came, in a sense, into Mexico, and they came into Mexico from Africa. Poole and Olmec argues that continuity exists between the Olmec and pre-Olmec cultures in Mexico. They quote, even though Coe now appears to favor an autochthonous origin for Olmec culture, he long held that the Olmec traits appeared at San Lorenzo rather suddenly during the Chick-Sharas phase, circa 1450 to 1408 BC. that, and I quote, this conclusion contrasts markedly with that of the excavators of San Lorenzo, who have reported dramatic change in ceramic style and argue on this basis of a foreign incursion of Olmecs into Olmen. I repeat on page 150. Page 150, what does it say? It says, I quote, this conclusion contrasts markedly with that of the excavators of San Lorenzo, who reported dramatic changes in ceramic style type and argued on the basis for a foreign incursion. Yes. The Olmec were not native to Mexico. They were not native to the Gulf region. The Olmec, they invaded the area. They came, in a sense, from Africa, and they introduced this new culture. They introduced this new civilization. They introduced writing and religion. And these people, in a sense, these original Olmecs spoke the Mandi language. Atlantis in Mexico, my book Atlantis in Mexico, The Mandi Discovery of America, proves that the Olmec came from Saharan Africa. They spoke a Mandi language. Evidence of this connection comes from the fact that, one, both groups used jade, amazonite to make their tools. Amazonite was used in Saharan Africa. Yes. Most people feel that this material is only found in Africa. Like jade. I mean, in Mexico, jade and stuff. But no, the jade was also used in Africa. It was found in many sites in the ancient Sahara. Archaeological University of Chicago, led by Sereno. Both groups made large stone heads. Here's an African head dating back to the same period. The Mandi came to Mexico in boats from the Sahara down the ancient Niger River that formerly emptied in the Sahara, or they could have made their way to the Atlantic Ocean down the Senegal River. Get my book, Atlantis in Mexico, so you can find out how the Mandi discovered America. In Atlantis in Mexico, we also learned that 4, the Olmec writing points back to a Mandi origin in Africa. 5, Olmec skeletons are Africans. Yes. This is a known fact. Number 6, similar white and red and black pottery existed in both areas. 7, the Mandi-speaking Olmec introduced the 13-month, 20-day calendar, which was also used in Africa. Yes. The 13-month, 20-day calendar was also used in Africa. Mayan adoption of the Mandi term for writing, which I discussed earlier, sebe, Mandi sebe, corresponds to Mayan sebe, you see? And the Mandi religious culture terms adopted by the Mayan people. If you want to find out about the ancient Olmec civilization in Mexico and its African roots, get my book, Atlantis in Mexico. The fact that, 1, there is no archaeological evidence that the Zak were in the ancient Olmec land on the Atlantic Gulf Coast 3,200 years ago. 2, there is no Zak substrate language in Mayan. 3, there are no migrations of Mocaya or Bara culture bearers from Chiapas to the Gulf. And 4, there is no such thing as pre-Proto-Zak. This falsifies Jefferson Kaufman's Witchman's hypothesis that the Olmecs spoke a Mishi-Zak language. No, they couldn't have spoken. In my book, Essays in Olmec and Maya Studies, I decipher specific Black Mayan and Olmec texts. These texts show the genius of the Olmec people, yes. Also, if you want to see some of the texts that these Olmec and Maya left us, get my book, Essays in Olmec and Mayan Studies. In this book, I decipher some of the texts, and it can show you how you could probably read the text too, if you get all my books that relate to the various aspects of the Olmec language. This is an Olmec text I deciphered. I discussed this text earlier. You can find out more about my decipherments if you get my books, Atlantis in Mexico, and Essays in Olmec and Maya Studies. You can order those books. Yes. You can order those books that explain my decipherment of the Olmec writing. You can order them from Amazon.com. I mean, as soon as you get off the video, order the books. Get them. The Cascayao tablet of Mexico is the story of King Bipopo. In my book, The Olmec Language and Literature, I again explain it. One of the most interesting, and I'm going to discuss this maybe next week. I'm going to discuss the Cascajal tablet of Mexico and discuss Bipopo. And this tablet is very interesting. And this is the head. Yes, yes, yes. This is the Olmec head of the Olmec king named Bipopo. You see, and you can read this. And here we find, in a sense, his names, and we find in the Casahal tablet is about King Bipopo. And we learn in a sense from the Casahal tablet that King Popo, in a sense, lays in the state in the tomb, desiring to be endowed with mysterious faculties. Yes, yes, as I told you. In Olmec time, many people would visit the tombs of great men and great women also. And they felt that if they made pilgrimage to these tombs, they could get blessings, and they could, get a lot of blessings and peace. Just like today, you find many Catholics who will travel for thousands of miles to various holy sites, and that's what these sites were considered. They were considered holy. Many of the pyramidal structures by the later Black Maya were also considered holy. We'll talk about that in some other story. All the seven of Leventa. Here's stela number 7 of Leventa. Monument here of Tresopades. And now you can look at this. This is a beautiful, stela. And this stela, we can see one of the Olmec kings. We can see his headdress. We can see some of the inscriptions. We can see his holy garments. So this tells you, in a sense, the influence of this dynasty back in the day. Another example of the Black worlds, the Black Olmec worlds, would be the image of altar number 4. This is an Olmec carving, altar number 4 from Leventa, Tabasco, Mexico. And here we see a figure, coming out of a tunnel. We can see over his head, we can see the symbol Gabe, which means blessings, power, glory. And so again, in a sense, that is what made it so important and so interesting, that I was able to decipher the Olmec language, because by me being able to decipher the Olmec language, now we know what their religion was. Now we know, in a sense, how they were acculturated. Now we know, in a sense, what they felt about their rulers, what they felt about religious sites. All of this is made possible due to my decipherment of the Olmec language. You got to get my books on the Olmec. You got to look at those books. You got to read them, and you can see the genius of the Olmec civilization. This is the Tushla. This is the Tushla statuette, and here you can see that on the right hand side we can see the Tushla statuette, and then on the left hand side you can see how many of the symbols on the Tushla statuette are also found on the walls in West Africa. Yes. That's because the same people who wrote those inscriptions in West Africa are the same people who wrote the statuette. You can learn about the various decipherments and decipherments by Poe. His book basically deals with Egyptian and some of the decipherments of inscriptions from ancient civilizations in the Mediterranean. And I've also written a book on my decipherment of the Indus Valley writing, the Proto-Saharan writing, the Olmec writing, and the Indus Valley writing. And I said that already. And you can check in the Meroitic, the Meroitic inscriptions. So if you want to find out about how I deciphered these ancient languages, get my book, Archaeological Decipherment of Ancient Writing Systems. This book will explain to you how I decipher languages. It can help you to decipher language, because see, the good thing is that, especially, it's really good when you become interested in something when you're young. And, maybe you might have a son, a daughter that may become interested in wanting to learn what our ancestors wrote. So you may want to get that book for them to read, and it may encourage them to do it because see, a lot of times the greatest discoveries in history, the greatest discovery in epigraphics, that's the study of written languages. The greatest research is done by people who at an early age began to become interested in a subject. And by becoming interested in a subject at an early age, that allows them in a sense to matriculate the skills to really go really into detail, a detailed study of that aspect of history. And again, you might want to see African Discovery of America. It's an African Discovery of America by Leo Weiner. And this is where Leo Weiner, he publishes the Tushla statuette. You see, back then when Leo Weiner was writing the African Discovery of America, he didn't know that this Tushla statuette went all the way back to Olmec times. He thought it was just a beautiful duck-billed monument, but now we know that this goes back in time. So hey, it's very important that we learn these things and that we know these things. One of the biggest interests lately is Europeans trying to decipher the Epi-Olmec writing, and the Epi-Olmec hieroglyphic writing mainly comes from Mahara and other sites. And this is one of the very interesting stelas, and they've been trying to translate it. And if you really want to, in a sense, learn a lot about the Olmec people, you want to get regional perspectives on the Olmec and the Mish of Oaxaca, religion, ritual, and healing, you see. Because when you want to know what these black geniuses did. These black people who left us all these important records. These people, in a sense, who built those beautiful pyramids down in Mexico. And they in this book, Justison and Kaufman, they claim to have deciphered the Epi-Olmec writing, but they didn't decipher it, because they couldn't do it. But see, they didn't understand, in a sense, that Landis Relations de las Casas de Yucatec, this book, in a sense, it's been translated into English. But this book, in a sense, is very important because it gives you information about the various Mayan and other Indian people that lived in Mexico that helped me to be able to decipher it. So, in a sense, for example, we went over this a little bit earlier. When you compare Miche and Bambara, you can see how Kokani, Kosani agrees with Kosa for Bambara. Koku Kosu agrees with Kusu. So we can see these are relationships between the Mish and the Bambara language. Here's some other examples of Mishizaki and how they relate to Mayan, Mishizak, and Bambara or Mandi. Some people have even tried to claim, in a sense, that that maybe the inscriptions on the various the jade celts from that the Olmec left us. Some people have even tried to say that they may be written in ancient Shang, the oracle bone writing of the people of the ancient civilization in China. There's a relationship, but that's because the fact is that the people who founded the civilizations of ancient China. That the founder of the civilization of ancient China was Kunta, which was a Mandingo people. So that's why they have a lot of signs that show similarity. But Ravanisi was one of the earliest scholars to really give us an example, and he compared, in a sense, the Mayan writing to the Libico-Berber writing, and he was absolutely correct because the Libico-Berber and the Olmec writing, the Indus Valley writing, they were all based on what I call Thinite, and it was because of recognizing the genetic relationship between ancient Mandi language, the Sumerian language, and the ancient Elamite language, Minoan language, then in a sense, the relationship, the fact that these languages were genetically related linguistically, yes, linguistically, genetically related, and they had similar signs, was one of the reasons, in a sense, that I was able to decipher these important inscriptions. And again, you can read more about this in my books, you see. But it's very important to understand that the Olmec were a very creative people. The Olmec built very beautiful monuments, and they left us very important writings. If you want to find out more about the Olmec civilization and their writing, get my book, Atlantis in Mexico, African Empires in Ancient America, Essays in Olmec and Mayan Studies, and Olmec Language and Literature. My book, Olmec Language and Literature, I break down the Olmec language. I show you how to read it. I show you how to read the symbols, how to read the various, and I also discuss, various inscriptions. So if you get my book, Olmec Language and Literature, it's going to help you to be able to decipher many of the Olmec inscriptions. Today we have a lot of Olmec inscriptions. Most of these inscriptions, they date back to Epi-Olmec times. You find them in many of the pyramids, because under many of the pyramids, we find that the Maya built their pyramids over Olmec pyramids. Yes. The Olmec built original pyramids, and the Mayas built other pyramids over them. But down in those sub pyramids, those Olmec pyramids or Epi-Olmec pyramids, that's where you find these Olmec inscriptions. Get these books so you can read them. Get my books, Essays in Olmec and Mayan Studies, so you can learn the intricacies of the Olmec language, and you too can be an explorer. You too can make new discoveries, because you too can read those books. Get those books and buy them. Yes. The Olmecs were a great people. They left us very beautiful monuments, and they also left us great writings. They left us writings that allow us, in a sense, to see how they studied the stars, how they built their pyramids, how they created their writing. These things can be known now because of my research. And you can become the researcher too, you see. But again, thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation so that you can, in a sense, know the greatness of the Olmec people. So you can really, in a sense, understand the important role that you can play as a researcher, Axel, I'm glad that I listened to you, because I'm going to get your books. Yes. Please buy the books, because see, that's how you can get more information, more information about, Black people in the ancient Americas.
Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Time travel in a book. Go far in a book. When is the last time you spent bread on a book? Knowledge given in a book. Benefit from a book. Create a movie from a book. Create animation from a book. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Mexico.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Shanice, for your kind words. And I hope that you'll purchase those books again. We have a little time. If there's any questions about the Olmecs or some of the civilization, you can put them in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer them. Thank you, Eve. A big issue today is not just knowing about this aspect a lot. We need to spend a lot of our time. We need to try to organize some some homeschooling, so our kids can learn, in a sense, their history. We have several programs that can help your kids to learn more about who they were, so they won't suffer from CAIDS, culturally acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
Supplemental learning for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
Anthony Cosm says, so the Mandi people are behind the Shang dynasty in China. Where can we learn more about this? Well, we could learn. I wrote a book called, the Blacks in Ancient China. You could use that. I wrote a lot of articles on it that are published on the internet. Or I might do a presentation where I'll discuss it. Yeah, because they it's very interesting that I know for those people who grew up in the 1980s, they heard about Kunta Kinte. And Kunta Kinte was supposed to be the ancestor of Alex Haley. And Kunta Kinte belonged to the Kunta clan. Well, it's very interesting when you study the early Elamite civilization, and when you study the name of the first ruler, Huangdi, which was the first ruler of China, is really pronounced Kunta. Huangdi is pronounced Kunta. So we see in a sense that the Kunta clan, which is the Mandingo clan, in a sense, would do that, would also found the Chinese. Maybe I'll do something. Maybe I'll do a thing on ancient China. I don't know. Maybe next week or the week after. But again, in the sense is that okay. And Axe says, was the writing left by the Olmec about spiritual systems? They yeah, but it's basically in a sense they talked about the Olmec religion. And in the Olmec religion, they do talk about their spiritual system. Because, see, a lot of, you have to understand that the Olmecs, like other Black people, they believed in the initiation. In other words, the boys and the girls, they had to be initiated into the mysteries of the cult, into the mysteries of society. So in other words, until you were circumcised, if you were a boy, I don't know if they had female circumcision. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but I have seen evidence from Chiapas that they did, in a sense, probably circumcise the boys. Maybe some of the people were circumcised. That then, in a sense, you can see some of their ideas in terms of how they structured their religious system. Maybe one day I may go into that. But again, they left us so many great inscriptions. They left us drawings. And these inscriptions and drawings, they allow us to find out more. Can you talk about the pyramids built by the Olmecs and the Nile Valley influence? It's not really any Nile Valley influence on the Olmecs, on the periods, because see the pyramids in Mexico, they in a sense, they resemble more step pyramids. Remember, the step pyramids, they go back to what, about 3,000 BC, 5,000 years ago. But many of the pyramids among the Maya, they resemble the pyramid, the tomb of Askia Muhammad. It's a tomb in West Africa that they're built. They're built a little bit different. The American tombs, the American or Mexican Mayan tombs, They're more like step pyramids, and they're totally different. They're totally different from Egyptian pyramids. These pyramids would agree more with some of the tombs left in West Africa of some of the Muslim leaders. It's just like I was surprised. I was surprised when I found out, in the sense that I was surprised when I found out that the Aztecs, they talk about the Aztecs gods, and most of the Aztecs, most of them were mainly Muslims. Crazy, isn't it? But they were mainly Muslims, because when you read some of the Aztec, what the Spanish wrote about the Aztecs, they write about the fact that the Aztecs had mosques. And a lot of times we ignore that, and then these people say all these different gods of the Aztecs, when the Aztecs, in a sense, were Muslims. But it's a lot of things that we need to know. As I told you, much of what we know about you know ancient history is a lie, and it's a lie that we've been taught, so that we can in a sense not know our actual history, not know our successes, because see, they don't want you to know, see, what you've done. Because if you know what you've done in the past, that means that you can do even greater things today. Because people have what's called a genetic memory. And this genetic memory means, in a sense, that based upon our genetics, then that means that you have memories of your grandmother on your father's side, and your grandfather on your mother's side. And it goes back and 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 back. And since the earliest black people go back, 3,000, at least 300,000 years ago, in terms of the skeletal remains, probably maybe even a million years. I mean, you have all these memories. So a lot of times, when you really can pray, when you really, in a sense, want to draw on these ancient memories, then you're able to produce great things. You're able, in a sense, produce these great things because it's inside of you. See, it's inside of you. A lot of people, they often say, well, the white man died, what would black people do? Oh, we wouldn't be able to hold up our civilization. Oh, we'll be okay. Because you know it already. You see, we had to go to what one of the Greek philosophers said. I can't think of his name now, but he said, you know what you know, but you don't know you know, but you know what you know. In other words, in a sense, is that you have so much knowledge that when you need that knowledge to be able to create a culture, to create a civilization that can be beneficial to you and mankind, you're going to do that. I mean, look how over here, just about all the greatest inventions, the world civilization today is based upon the foundation of Black Americans. They're based upon the telephone, which we made work. They're based upon, in a sense, the electric light bulb and electricity, which we made work. Don't forget that there was Louis C. Lattimore, one of them, who made the electric grid in New York City for the electric trains and others. You see, we built, in a sense, the resistor, and the resistor was the original component that led to the chips that they're using today throughout many of the electronics and things like that. That's because of our greatness. It's because of our greatness as a civilizers that we've been able, in a sense, to make the world a better place. And the world's a better place because we went through an ethnogenesis. Yes. We went through an ethnogenesis. Let me explain. FBA are the result of an ethnogenesis in which Aboriginal Blacks, Black Europeans, and Sub-Saharan Africans made it to form the foundational Black American population that exists today. So look at this. Black Europeans, yeah. Then in Africa, we got the various African tribal groups. Oh yeah, the African tribal groups, But see, in America, because of chattel slavery, there was a mixture of the Black Aboriginals or the original Black Indians, not the Red Indians, the original Black Aboriginals, who made it with the Black Irish who was sent into chattel slavery. I'm not talking about the white Irish that came over in the 1800s. I'm talking about the original Irish who were Black, who were sent to the Americas and sent to the Caribbean as chattel slaves between 1630 and 1660. That means over a 30-year period, they sent over at least 500,000 Black Irish, and the rest of them they exterminated in Ireland, and they were replaced by Caucasians and white British people. You see, and so then therefore, in a sense, this is the history that you haven't been taught. And see, because of the fact, in the sense that we're unique people as foundational Black Americans, that we went through this ethnogenesis where we had the knowledge of our Aboriginal ancestors, our Black European ancestors, and our African ancestors. All of this knowledge has been put in our minds, put in our brain, and we're able to call on this. And this is what makes us such these great inventors. I mean, where would America be without the telephone? Where would America be without the electric light bulb? We even made the cell phones. We even made that shit. We even made this computer I'm typing on. We even made it in a sense so you could use this computer, because originally the system was made for the army to use in case there was a nuclear war. But we made a program in which you could read it. Yeah, it's a white boy that makes all the money off of it, and it's IBM, and it's all this and stuff. But I mean, that's because of the fact that we have a lot of good ideas. We make great inventions, but sadly, even though we make great inventions, we usually don't have the money to make those inventions and really be able, in a sense, to make real money. And so as a result, we always usually have to sell it. And then Europeans, because they can have more money, they can make it look prettier, and therefore they get a lot of the so-called credit. But no, the whole world is operating off of our genius. Yes, the FBA genius. But again, if there's no questions, I want to, I appreciate all of you that came to visit with me this Thursday. Come back. I'd like to see you next Thursday, same time, same place. You guys take care. And most importantly, if you're not going to speak up, yes. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears, so them not stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck control your atmosphere. Distraction away from me. I am you and control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am
The only thing that can save you is B1, B1, B1. To fight Cage, you must stay black first.